Like, okay, you just turned 40. All right, that hemline's got to come up an inch.
By what they dress kind of determines their sexual availability. I think that the cutout sides is a little bit too much.
Like, cover up, lady. That's...
Welcome to the show. After the kids go to bed, we talk about love, relationships, and sex. So join us for lively discussion and thought-provoking ideas at Love is on the Air. My name is David, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Natalie, contributor and chief over at the Feminine Frame website. All right, welcome to the show. My name's David Peterson. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Natalie, and wife, Natalie.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, it's looking pretty festive around here, wouldn't you say?
A little bit.
Yeah, we got just in time for the holidays, but you know what else we got?
Some sort of flu or something.
We got some sort of flu, some sort of bug.
Yeah, last time during the Napoleon one, we had a cold. And then I think just as we were getting over that one, we got something else.
Got the flu, yeah. So it's the season of giving, and that's the gift.
That's the gift. But you know what?
It
The
keeps
show must go on. So here we are.
So you saw the thumbnail. So why are we even talking about this today, this topic?
Because that's too sexy, Grandma. Cover up.
That's too sexy. Well, I wanted to just kind of start by saying, I think that societies have an obligation, or every society has the right to determine what they deem appropriate for, men and women to wear. Although tonight we are talking about women and elderly women, but not elderly, but maybe of a certain age, right? So,
and when does that threshold begin? I don't know.
Well, we're going to talk about it, but
okay.
I do think that societies do have that right to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it, but at the same time, I don't think that it's a government's job to enforce modesty or even morality at that. So I kind of take a libertarian stance on that.
Social shunning that should go on.
Yes, I think shunning social, not really shunning, but
be gone with the.
But yeah, I think that we can talk about what's appropriate, what's not, and use social stigma to enforce what we think's appropriate and not. Now, you will probably disagree with us. Go ahead and let us know in the comments where we got it right, what you agree with, what you don't agree with. We just ask you keep it respectful and polite.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough. Let's.
All right. So with that disclaimer out of the way, so at what age should a woman change how she's dressing? Is there an age where you say, okay, look, you got to start changing where you.
Okay, so it's like, okay, you just turned 40. All right, that hemline's got to come up an inch. Oh, 50, another inch. No, just kidding. I don't think that it's like that. I think that what is appropriate is based on so many different factors.
There's definitely a lot of nuance in what would be considered appropriate. But would you say that women, especially when they dress, they are to some degree or another, obviously not children, but adult women are somewhat advertising their availability, by what they dress kind of determines their sexual availability or their marriageable ability or, just, right? I mean, what you're wearing kind of conveys what you want to say about yourself.
You're sending a message, and as somebody who enjoys fashion to a certain degree, I certainly use fashion
you
to
do
express...
look fashionable. You always look so good.
Why, thank you.
You do.
I do use it to express myself a little. So I do think that fashion is an expression of who you are.
I agree. But when we're talking about fashion, is there a difference between what's modest and what's appropriate?
Oh, yeah. I think that there is a difference between what's modest and appropriate. And in the clips that you bring up, I'm sure that we will see this. Yeah. Where I will say, okay, they're on the Las Vegas Strip. This is what would be considered appropriate attire for the Las Vegas Strip. Does that mean that it is elegant or classy or modest or that it sends a good message about who you are. Not necessarily, but it might be appropriate for the occasion. I mean,
Yeah, so I agree. So,
you know.
you know, every society has their different idea about what's modest, and is contextual too. You know, in one context, we look at a miniskirt and say that's too short, but if you're at a football game, all of a sudden that's normal and expected. So, I think, especially in the United States, we have a history of, you know, the Puritans coming over. So we have probably more stricter modesty guidelines than maybe other countries. But I think that that's changing pretty rapidly in the last 10, 20 years. So the codes of what's, you know, considered modest, what's considered appropriate, they're changing. So the first person I want to look at here is Shakira. Take a look.
Okay.
So here she's at the music award. Now she's with her sons in this one. And first of all, how does she look?
Well, she looks fantastic for her age. I mean,
right.
She's really taking care of herself, and
so in this picture, she's 46.
Yeah, she looks beautiful for her age.
Yeah, she absolutely.
She looks beautiful regardless of her age, but, you know, especially considering she's 46.
So does she have the body for this dress?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. Shakira always looks good. I've never seen a picture of her where she doesn't look great. So Shakira, if you're watching this, you look amazing. But is this appropriate for a music award?
For a music award, it is appropriate. I think that where she got some slack is that she has her sons with her. And so maybe if she didn't have the cutouts on the side, it wouldn't have, you know, caused the storm that it did.
Did it cause a storm?
Well, you told me about it. I guess somebody on Twitter said something. I don't know. Or X. Somebody on X said something.
Yeah, I think that the cutout sides is a little bit too much, in my opinion, especially if there were children there. Now, if this was an 18 only, you know, adult party that she was going to, not something that's going to be broadcast in every TV in America, then if it was just adults, then I think that would be appropriate. But do I think it's modest? No, it's showing her sides. So contextually, yeah. I think it's not appropriate.
It's kind of borderline, just because I think for the occasion, that's what's accepted. Her sons are there. Now, I do wonder, she's Colombian, right? Is this acceptable?
I'm not sure.
I think so. Or is this acceptable wear for a Colombian mother to wear around her sons? I don't know.
Well, I might add that, like, her whole career has been built around literally shaking her hips. So we're going to look at the next video, the next one here, where she's a little bit younger in this picture. She's 32 in this one. And this is at a performance. I don't know exactly which one, but it's of her when she was 32. So what's your take on this, Susan?
Again, she's taken very good care of her body.
Yeah, she looks great. No doubt.
She looks great. And again,
Always.
you know, we can talk about that this is, you know, what would be considered appropriate wear for a performer at a concert. Now, we can argue about whether this should be considered appropriate or not for a concert. If you just saw her walking around at the mall, people don't go to malls nowadays, but if you just saw her, if you were at Walmart or Target and you saw her walking around with this, you know, it wouldn't matter how great her body is.
I'm going to push back a little bit. There are some malls that we've been to. The mall in Naples is usually pretty busy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay,
I don't know, but I see a lot of these videos of like ghost town malls. But yeah, if you saw her in the mall, you'd be like, okay,
like cover up, lady. That's a little uncomfortable. Where do I put my eyes?
So I'm going to agree with you that this is generally accepted as appropriate attire for a concert, but I might argue that it maybe shouldn't be, because, you know, the age range of people that are going to a concert like this are probably teenagers. So I don't know if I'd want, you know, my teenage daughter, you know, at this performance, or my teenage son at this performance. Seems just a little too overtly sexual for, you know. So the costume, of course, she makes, again, this, her whole spiel has been Her Hips Don't Lie song. So, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's modest, but like you said, it's accepted.
Yeah, and I mean that's a discussion. That's a whole nother discussion whether what's appropriate should be considered appropriate.
Well, let's get into it. Should it be appropriate? I know it's another discussion, but
I mean, probably not. I think that's probably a little revealing.
It's revealing. Yeah, it advertises that sexuality again. It's like I don't know. I wouldn't say it's overtly sexual, but it's kind of sexualized.
It's kind of overtly sexual. I would
Yeah,
say
maybe
that
you're right.
you look at her, you know, she looks.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to move on to somebody a little bit younger, also in her 30s. I believe she's 31 in this picture. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay.
Now, she is a congresswoman, and last year she wore this dress. It's called Tax the Rich to some gala somewhere. So what's your take on this?
Okay. Well, first of all, you know, I love her hair. And it is a very beautiful, elegant dress in the front. The back.
It's very tacky. It's.
I'm sure there are some people who loved it, but
well,
no.
if you align politically with her, you probably did love it.
Like go, Congresswoman Alexandria. Now I would say that she is probably here in the capacity of a congresswoman. She probably would not have been invited to this gala as a normal citizen. And in that case, that maybe it's just like a little bit too revealing because she's there in her professional capacity, I'm assuming.
I totally agree. Like if this were any other woman at this gala,
she would look beautiful and classy and elegant.
I think it'd be perfectly
minus
acceptable.
The back.
Yeah, minus the big red letters on the back, which are tacky, but no, any other person, but I don't know, for congressmen and women, I kind of feel like they should be a cut above, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, there's this new guy, John Fetterman, I think.
Okay.
And they changed like the rules so he could wear like a hoodie in Congress. Now, I don't know, like, I don't think that's appropriate either. I know we're talking about women tonight.
I mean, that's not immodest, but it's not appropriate.
Right. So in the same way, I don't think this dress is immodest per se, but for a congresswoman, I think
in her
it is
professional
a touch
capacity.
Yeah, it's a touch revealing for her station. So speaking of Congress, this next one, this is let's see, we've got how old is Nancy Pelosi? She is 82 years old in this picture.
Okay.
So you can see in the background, we got people swimming. She's obviously at the beach. I don't know which beach she's at, but this picture that has been floating around a lot.
Okay.
Too much, probably.
All right. So here is my take on this. She is at the beach, and my guess is that she is just there on vacation, and that this is not her in her professional capacity to sign a bill to save the whales or whatever. She's just here as a private citizen, and I think that this is appropriate. I think, Miss Pelosi, I'm going to give you a pass.
I agree. She's totally appropriate for the beach. This is beach wear for her age, totally appropriate. I think some people were surprised at her figure. I mean, for her age, I mean, honestly, she looks pretty good. I don't really like all the, the plastic surgery, but aside from that, I think she does look pretty good for her age, and I do think she's 100% appropriate. So she shouldn't have gotten any flack for this picture at all.
Right, she's just there as a private citizen, enjoying herself, getting a little sun.
Getting a little sun. So this is the next image. Let's get the age. This is Dolly Parton. Now, first of all, I love Dolly Parton.
I know, she's America's aunt. We love you, Aunt Dolly.
Yeah, she's great. She actually has this book program where she sends out books to kids all over America. And one of our kids actually is in that age group where you sign up for the program, and she sends you a book every month. So
say, oh, here's your book from
Dolly, you are a sweetheart,
I love you.
and we love you. So with that said, she is getting along in age. So this was a Dallas Cowboys game. This is kind of a recent photo. We'll probably use this as the thumbnail because it's kind of hot in the news right now, this picture. But what's your take?
Well, I love you, Dolly, but I think this is probably a little bit inappropriate. You don't need to do that. And I mean, Dolly is always, flamboyant with her skin-tight jumpsuits with rhinestones and, a lot of cleavage showing. And I think that's
her whole persona. She's had that
and I think
for decades.
That for most 77-year-old women,
yeah,
that would be inappropriate. But for her, she can carry that, and that's her persona. But just in this case, with the short shorts and the midriff, I mean, she does have some sort of skin-colored thing there. But I think it is a little
They're
too
like
much.
Rhinestones, I think, maybe glued onto her skin there.
Well, I think it's a skin-colored type thing.
You think it's a unitard under there? Or,
I don't think that's her actual skin that they've glued rhinestones onto. I think that's a fabric thing.
Oh, well. Well, if that's the case.
It makes it maybe not quite so bad, but.
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I think this is probably just not appropriate for her age. As much as she's made her career out of being a sexual symbol, Yeah,
and I mean, she normally has cleavage showing and tight clothes, but normally her bottom is longer and her midriff's covered.
So I think we kind of talked about it earlier, like a cheerleader at the game, you kind of expect this to be appropriate wear. Mm-hmm. So if she was maybe 50 years younger, I would say, yeah, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that when you reach a certain age, that not that you lose all sexuality or any nonsense like that, but that we kind of like to see an older woman grown into confidence in herself, and not that she has to sell herself sexually, that there's more to her than her sexuality. And so I think that's kind of really where we kind of
That's an interesting take. I like that take. Is she has more to offer than her sexuality, and at this point, I think she really has offered the world so much in terms of her music and entertainment through the years. So I really like your take on that.
Yeah, and we all have outfits that we look back on and we're like, what was I thinking?
You think this will be the outfit for her?
I don't know if this will be the outfit for her. But basically, we still love you, Dolly. You're still amazing.
We do love you. Not the best choice of outfits, but we still love you. All right. This is our final entry tonight.
Okay, remind me. Okay, who is this?
This is Beyonce.
Okay, Beyonce.
And in this photo, she's 42.
Okay.
Context, probably some music awards again. Mm-hmm. So we've covered a lot of musicians and politicians tonight, but I think they're universally recognized, so we all kind of know who they are and what their kind of status is. I can't believe
I didn't recognize Beyonce there. I think maybe it's the hair and maybe just the lighting makes her look a lot lighter than normal.
I think this happens to celebrities a lot. They get to Hollywood and their skin gets lighter and lighter. So I know, have you ever seen pictures of like Sammy Sosa? He was this famous baseball player.
No.
He totally bleached his skin, but I mean, I'm looking at Beyonce, and at first glance, you wouldn't even know that she's black.
I didn't recognize her there. So
yeah, so
she's a very recognizable figure.
So this is 42. This is right around our age, my age, not your age. Your cradle. No, she's 42 in this picture. I think if that keystone was filled in, I think this would be an appropriate and modest dress. I mean, for music awards, what we would normally consider appropriate, I think
it's appropriate.
It's
for what
common or accepted, I would say. But yeah, that's a very deep plunge though. But it's not like going all the way to her belly button. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's appropriate for the occasion. I think she does look very beautiful, and it's a very classic, elegant silhouette. I think you're right. I think if it just was a little bit more filled in, it would be a little bit more elegant.
Yeah, with that deeper keystone plunge there, it does kind of look more like
a bra, I guess.
Almost like a bra, but again, it's just that it's that advertising sexuality. Now, to be fair, she looks great. In fact, all the women we've looked at today really do look great. They all have the body for it. We're just kind of considering it. Not can they wear it, but maybe should they. So overall, I think this one is, maybe if you just filled in that keystone, it'd be perfect. But other than that, it's overall very appropriate for the occasion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about.
Yeah, we're gonna cut this one short. As you can tell, we're not feeling our tip top. So, cut us off before I start hacking here.
Hack to death. We might have to cut that out. Sorry about that. But anyways, thanks for joining us on this episode of Love is on the Air. What do you want to hear next week? We think maybe we should review women from other countries. Maybe we could review younger fashion choices. We got a whole bunch of things to talk about, so we're looking forward to bringing those to you.
We love your feedback.
So, let us know what you thought. Did we miss the mark on any of these? Let us know. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and CastBox. So, join us on your favorite networks. We'll catch you next time. You heard it here. Bye.
Bye.
This is not going to be good.